joined by political campaigner and writer Femi Olawole, and also Charlie Mullins, businessman who founded Pimlico Plumbers during the Thatcher decade. Femi, you go first. You think the government should do this?
Well, for starters, 75% of the public, according to a YouGov poll from 6 days ago, support a wealth tax of 2% on wealth over £10 million, compared to just 13% who oppose it. So the only reason this is controversial is because the UK isn't a democracy, because a party with 34% of the vote has 63% control in Parliament. So it should be done, because in the UK, the top fifth of the UK has 2/3 of the country's wealth, whereas the bottom fifth of the UK has 0.5% of the country's wealth, and they have about 9% of the country's income, whereas the top fifth have 36% of the country's income. So the phrase "the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer" is objectively mathematically true. So
Charlie, you're an example of that. Do you feel that it's in the last 40 years the rich seem to have got so rich, Charlie?
Well, maybe that's because they work harder and they invest their money. What Femi's saying there, I totally disagree. You cannot tax people twice on the same money. It's criminal. Why should wealth creators put everything into it just so that they can pay more tax because the government have got it wrong, because they're running out of money, because they keep giving the money away? Wealth creators will be off even faster than what they are now. Starmer, Reeves, Rayner are a complete embarrassment. They've failed on what they proposed to do. They're doing U-turns. They've run out of money and they're going after the rich again. So it's so wrong. And believe me, I've paid in my fair share of tax. I paid in over 100 mil and they ain't getting no more money from me. I've gone anyhow. And I know many, many more people will go. It's not a case of not wanting to pay tax. Why would you penalise successful people?
Femi, what about that? We need successful people.
My friend, you have not worked harder than the average people. People across the UK are working as hard as they possibly can, even multiple jobs.
I never said they weren't, but don't say I've not worked hard, because you haven't got a clue.
Overtime. You do not work harder than the working class people who are struggling to pay their bills, because if you
run a business, you work harder than an individual.
Sir, the poorer you are, the more of your money you spend on the basic essentials. So they are having to work harder just to stay alive, and they're working multiple jobs. Working multiple jobs in situations that are much harder than anywhere you've had to work, because they're doing labouring jobs, physical jobs.
Understood.
That's the sort of work that they do.
Well, hang on, Femi. Charlie, in the Thatcher decade, set up a plumbing business when other people didn't. He worked his socks off. He made a fortune.
Congratulations, that was available for him as an option back then.
That's genuinely something to praise him for, isn't it?
But it doesn't mean he worked harder than people right now.
He doesn't say he did. He just said they don't work harder than him. Nobody works harder than Charlie, is what he's saying.
The point is, if we're all working as hard as we possibly can, why does one person deserve to have billions of pounds in the bank and the other person doesn't? I know that me personally, I went to private school. I was given opportunities that I could see that the people at the local state school could only dream of having. I know I don't deserve the advantages that I have over anybody else. That's because I have a level of self-reflection and self-awareness to know that if I can see somebody else working just as hard, they deserve the same as me. Charlie, however, is arguing that because he happens to have been able to take advantage of the system under the Thatcher era, now he deserves to have billions more than the average person.
I have to disagree with you. You're talking about someone working hard, not working hard. What we're talking about, this is daylight robbery.
You brought that in.
You're taxing people on what they've already paid tax on. And this will get rid of more and more people. You should be encouraging people to stay here, encouraging people to open businesses. And yes, we all want everyone to be okay in life kind of thing. But, we have a lot of people here that won't go to work, don't go to work.
Charlie, would it be acceptable to the wealthiest, do you think, to pay 2% over 10 million if it was just a one-off charge?
No. Of course it wouldn't be.
Okay, Scrooge. So here's the thing. This argument that we need to not tax the rich because otherwise they'll all go. I could hear that argument if the people making that argument were willing to say, all right, and here's what we're going to do to avoid the situation where the richest people are able to basically dictate what policies we're allowed to have. Unless you're going to start fundamentally reshaping society, then this argument of we can't tax the rich basically means that we have to do whatever the rich say. We need to be fundamentally changing that system. But Charlie has no interest in doing that. He just wants the rich to get away with paying less tax.
Yeah, look, as I say, you're just coming out with words. You're trying to make yourself sound good. But at the end of the day, it's wrong. It's robbery. It will drive people away.
It's wrong to help people out of poverty. it's wrong to help people out of poverty.
Into work, right? And stop giving people money for nothing. It's the answer.
Is it, Femi, isn't the issue, I suppose, in Charlie's mind, it's that you don't get people out of poverty by basically pickpocketing the rich and just transferring the money across, because that's just a temporary fix.
So many of the people who are on benefits are working full time. People are working as hard as they possibly humanly can, but they're still not earning enough to meet the basic essentials because of how expensive things are. So it is the government's job to make sure that we rebalance the situation so that people who are working just as hard, if not harder, at the bottom end of the economy are able to afford the basics.
Femi, honestly, mate, you're dressing it up because that's what you are, that's what you do. But in the real world, you know it's wrong. It's daylight robbery. And as I say, if this will not work, it will drive more and more people abroad.
Charlie, do you genuinely believe that you work harder than a single mother on minimum wage, struggling to make ends meet, barely able to afford rent?
Look,
is that what you genuinely believe?
Let him answer.
Femi, don't give me loaded questions, mate. I mean, just get to the facts. I run a business and I work very hard.
But that's been the implication of everything you've said since you came on this call, that because you work hard, that's why you deserve to have billions more than the average person.
I never said I deserve it. Now, listen what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I work for what I've got. I'm not. I don't
and so do
sit
they.
around all day. I don't claim benefits. So
you aren't better than them.
Sorry?
You aren't better than them. They work hard just as hard as you do. So why do you deserve more than they do?
Well, it's called running a business, mate. I mean, you understand. Look,
does that mean you deserve more?
Femi, isn't the issue? I'm trying to work out the mindset here, Femi, is that let's say Charlie employed 1,000 people at his peak, right? And you think that he should get the same wage as one of the plumbers he employs. That's fundamentally your issue, right? Is it?
Yes, because they're working just as hard as he is.
Charlie, would that work for you? That no matter how successful the business is, you get paid the same as one of your plumbers?
Well, what's the point of opening a business? It's pointless. I mean, you've got to have people that will create jobs, create training, create wealth, and really contribute to society. We're already paying a large amount in tax. I think 1% of the top. So, Femi, I've got to be honest with you, fella. You do not have an argument. In proper common sense, right? You've got to have business people, and all you want to do is call. Look,
but Charlie, I was going to say, I'm only interested because Charlie, the issue that seems to have changed in this society since the 70s, when, as far as I can remember, we had about 3 rich people in the country. The issue is we do have a very, very gilded class of people now. We have, at last count, 170 billionaires living in 2 or 3 small postcodes in Mayfair.
What's wrong with that?
Well, Femi will tell you.
Okay. Well, right now we have.
What is wrong with that, Femi, actually?
Right now we have record levels of poverty in the UK. The problem is not the wealth, the problem is the poverty. The problem is allowing poverty to happen when you know that there is vast amounts of wealth that is being stored by the richest in the country. So you're watching people who are skipping meals in order to feed their kids and saying it's okay that Charlie's able to buy a third swimming pool. That is not a moral society.
How does the presence of the billionaires I referred to, Femi, make those people poorer?
Because it means you have a situation where the wealth, because like I said, those people are working.
Answer the question, Femi. Rich people make poor people.
Allow me to answer the question. Allow me to answer the question.
Go on.
Those people who are working just as hard as Charlie is are generating wealth. They are the ones working in those businesses. They're the ones who are actually making that system function. However, the wealth is going away from their work and going to the richest. They're going to the CEOs. So that system is what needs to be fundamentally changed. Those people deserve just as much wealth as Charlie does.